Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
You don't mind what goes on the Monday show, right?
Well, I mean, mind is a pretty liberal term. I mean, as long as we're bringing cool stuff to the fans and they enjoy it.
Duh.
All right,
You,
you're right. That is a duh.
I was thinking like Dr. Spectre #4, our high-end issue. What do you think?
That's kind of cool. I like it. Mark Wade.
Totally. There's Grimm,
Oh,
by
yeah.
Mark Affin.
Yeah, those are actually the TV show writers. That's in continuity.
Love that show. I also thought about a Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures #1.
That is sweet. Everybody loves the Turtles, and you got both Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn.
Crazy cover too. And what do you think about New Avengers #1 with an Iron Man cover by Chris Caniano?
I like that a lot. We haven't had a Chris sketch in a while.
I think this is gonna be good.
Oh, wow. And you got some nice Virgin covers, too. That
Always.
is really cool.
Always, always, always.
All right. So, which show is this for?
This is for our Monday show with Robbie, so check us out on the Experience, 6 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there.
All right, cool. And this is Monday the 31st, everybody. Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and I'm here with Rex from Dynamite. What's up, Rex?
What's up, buddy? So to start the show off with our regular football talk, I saw the news about McCarthy, and they announced that he will be returning as the head coach of your beloved Dallas Cowboys. I wasn't sure if you're going to be doing the show today. I wasn't sure what how you'd be feeling.
Yeah.
Because I know that you're not a fan. I have to admit, you and I agree on that one. Okay, McCarthy is definitely part of the problem.
Yes. The only thing that consoled me through that news was the news that Dan Quinn will be returning as defensive coordinator. So
yes,
at least
he did not get that job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did not get that job. So that is good news.
That
now,
is in particular.
That is, but I really don't see how anything is going to get better, and so little cap space. I just don't see it getting better next season, man. I think Jones needed to shake it up. I mean, McCarthy's had enough time. It's clear that a lot of success was due to Aaron Rodgers. Okay, who's gotten all weird on us lately, but clearly that had a lot to do with it. I mean, he's demonstrated that the team has no discipline with all the penalties. Okay, and he is horrendous at clock management. Okay, which is shocking to me. Which is, how can you be an NFL head coach for this many years and be this atrociously bad at clock management?
And I said that at the beginning of the season. Like, it was something I picked up on, especially because being a Cowboys fan and watching the games, I was like, he's going to cost us a big game down the road, probably because of clock management. And there were several games where that was the big kerfluffle, was that it wasn't managed properly, even all the way down to that end, the very end of the season, right? That's a mismanagement of the clock.
Yes. That goes without saying. I mean, you can't be this far in your career as a head coach. You're not even a rookie head coach coming in for your first year, after being a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, whatever, and say, all right, I'm not usually in charge of that. Okay. McCarthy's been, won a Super Bowl, so clearly this is a very basic thing. You have so much time left. You have so many timeouts. This is what you got to do. And that draw play was just ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to put it all on Dak. I mean, he ran farther than he needed to. But I mean, you can't tell me McCarthy didn't know that play was being called.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was very questionable. And then just look at what the Chiefs were able to do with 13 seconds on Sunday night, right? That was a wild game.
Now granted they had timeouts too, but still that's, and I'll say this much, obviously with Andy Reid, being in Philadelphia all those years, the man knows clock management. And I think he proved to us that any success that Donovan McNabb had was due to Andy Reid. Okay. And he took care of how to, develop him. And I remember McNabb's rookie season, Doug Peterson actually was under center for that rookie season. And we were unforgiving here in Philadelphia. We lit Andy Reid up, put the rookie in. Peterson was at the end of his career, and he was right, man. He was right. You got to look at what he's done with Mahomes and Alex Smith, his rookie year. Being under center. I give the guy all the credit in the world. He's an excellent coach. There's no doubt.
Yes, absolutely. And we didn't have any timeouts left at the end, but don't forget about that weird play where they were leaving their punt team out there and they were trying to get the other team to call a timeout, and then they wound up having to call them.
That was it's like, dude, first down, you leave your punt team out there. I mean, who are you trying to confuse? What, are you going to punt again on first down?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only people they confused was themselves, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They probably had everybody else scratching their head going, "What are they doing?" They're gonna get a delay of game.
I saw this morning that the rumors were that Aaron Rodgers and the Broncos may be getting close to something.
I heard that as well. I mean, that would, we'll see if it happens. You know how these rumors are. I mean, but we'll see if that happens. But that would fundamentally shift the AFC and would fundamentally shift the NFC too, because they leave a huge vacuum in the NFC. So we'll see what happens, man. You never know with these things. It's always so crazy. Not as crazy as Antonio Brown taking off his jersey and Pats, but there's always crazy stuff. But
now he's saying that he's going to sue Tampa Bay?
Oh yeah.
He's going to sue the Bucks.
Yeah, for defamation. Yeah. No, actually, I'm pretty sure you've been doing this to yourself, Antonio.
Yeah.
But now we can transition into basketball because I know your beloved Lakers aren't looking so good.
Oh man, I even stopped paying attention because it's so frustrating. I'm not going to say that I was 100% sold on Westbrook, but I was willing to be oh, I think it can work. I think they can make it work, bruh. There are problems in Hollywood. Showtime is no time right now. I'm just going to say that.
Look, it's not a good combination. They just went out and drafted big name or traded for big names, and the Westbrook deal obviously looks awful now.
I know why you're bringing this up, because we just got stomped by the Sixers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Joel Embiid. Well, and football season's almost over, so we're gonna have to segue into something else.
Yeah.
But Westbrook was bad. Hey, listen, we have our own problems up here at the Sixers with Ben Simmons. Okay, I mean, there's that James Harden rumor that's floating around, but even if there's any inkling that that's true, it will end up being something that's going to happen at the end of the season. So it's still going to pass the trade deadline and stuff. So it's not anything that's going to happen today. And a lot of things can happen between now and then, but we've certainly had our challenges with Ben Simmons, and his just, whatever. I mean, whatever's going on with him, he's become the Antonio Brown of basketball.
I was about to be you got an Antonio Brown situation going on.
Seriously, it's crazy. But the Lakers that was a bad idea. I think they were better off 2 seasons ago.
And the thing is, Vogel's going to get fired by the end of this, and I don't know how much of it's LeBron. I'm pretty sure LeBron's got most of the power dynamic up there, in Lakerville, right?
Well,
and I think he just wanted to play with his homies. He thought he could make it work. He's we made it work in Miami. I can bring these dudes in. The problem is D-Wade and Bosh and LeBron were able to figure it out. There's Westbrook just does not work with.
Well, I give that to D. That year with the Heat, I give it to D-Wade. I think he realized he was approaching the end of his career, that if this was going to work, he had to take a step back behind Bosh and LeBron, and that was necessary. Okay, Westbrook is Westbrook. I mean, Westbrook has always been, and the problem is he's getting older. And you look at his game through the years, and it's near the rim. He was never somebody that was a shooter or anything like that, and his age is starting to show. Now you see his numbers going down because he doesn't mesh well with other superstars. Okay, yeah. Because you look at those guys. I mean, I don't think Davis as much, but between Westbrook and LeBron, the only way it works is they need the ball. Well, they can't both have the ball in offense, So I think it was just not very well thought out. They just thought we'd load all this talent on there and we're gonna take it. They were better off 2 seasons ago when it was just him and Davis and a bunch of role players. Okay.
Yeah.
and then LeBron could have the ball as much as he wanted.
Yeah, I know a lot of that championship year. A lot of people try to credit the bubble, right, for it. But I would say that the bubble actually highlighted the performance of so many different teams because there were no distractions, right?
Yes.
Like they were like there, stuck there, playing basketball, and they were all like practicing and being around each other for that entire time. So there was this competition that kind of came up. So I think it's unfair for people to say that the Lakers kind of cruised into the bubble because I think the level of play went up. But the way they were working when they had Rondo, and Rondo's gone again. He wasn't able to work it back in, but there was something special about that Magic team. But since then, AD can't stay healthy, like at all. And that's a big problem.
That's your other problem. Yeah, that's your other problem. I mean, you look at the Nets, the same problem. Same as well. You got Kyrie who's acting all crazy and stuff. He's there on Antonio Brown, refusing to get vaccinated and stuff, and creating that situation. But it's too bad because the Sixers, we need one more superstar, to kind of fill that out because you can't ride Joel, all the way through the season the way he's been playing stellar. MVP kind of play, but. How long can he do that? And the guy's had injury issues, through the years as well. So I don't know, man. It doesn't look good. But so now we made our segue, from football into basketball, so we can keep this going through the rest of the year here before baseball starts again. So a couple of controversial things that have come across. Read an article today. I don't know when it came out. It probably came out a few days ago on Bleeding Cool about Bad Idea and their invisible graded comics. I don't know if you've run across that one.
Yeah, I've heard of the invisible graded comic, and didn't they basically were told like don't stop doing this?
Yeah, well, CGC asked them to stop selling it, but the problem is from what I understand, they're like fine because they've sold them all. They're all gone. And I think, I didn't verify this independently, but, I hear people are trying to get like 4 figures for them. I applaud Bad Idea for a good idea, in terms of marketing and stuff. That certainly was a good idea, but it's like the pet rock or canned air. Seriously? Come on.
Yes.
What is the point there?
Yeah, it's a weird... The whole thing, it's kind of a marketing genius because we know of this company a lot. Most people that know of this company have never read one of their books. I have never read one of their books. As a retailer, we didn't necessarily think it was a great idea. Like, we don't want a publisher to tell us these are the terms of buying our product. For instance, if you got a lot of people specking, and Bad Ideas seem to be built for that speculator market, which is fine. But the problem is, okay, so you got a lot of speculators, you got a lot of people that want to say buy issue number 1. And we know in the comic book industry, issue number 1s perform well, and then they start dropping till they level once they find their audience, right? But with Bad Idea, part of the terms were, if you order 100 copies of issue number 1, you got to order 100 copies of issue 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we didn't like the lack of control that we were going to have over how much and how little we decided to order for our customer base, because every market's different, every comic shop. Some comic shops, Batman doesn't sell. Well, Batman sells in every comic shop, I'm sure. But in certain comic shops, Saga's one of their biggest sellers. And in other shops, it's something like maybe Red Sonja, right? So it varies widely across the board.
No, I understand that. But I always believe the free market kind of shakes things out. So, from that perspective, if you keep pounding your retailers that, okay, well, if you buy, X number of number 1, then you have to match it with 2, 3, and 4. As you say, you're going to get this pushback from the LCS, from the retailers saying, well, I'm not committing to, 5 issues of this. Right now I'm willing to try 50 of number 1, but I'm not committing to 50 of number 2 and number 3, number 4. I don't even know how this is going to sell. Right. So from that perspective, I think that the market itself will correct it because, as you say, a lot of retailers will be like, whatever, and I'm just not going to order 50 of number 1 and try it. It's not worth the risk, because right now by forcing my hand, you're quadrupling my commitment. And I'm not prepared to make that commitment. Right now, I'm prepared to make a commitment of 50 issues of number 1 and see if it works. Okay, and if it works, I'll be back. But, if I order 50 and I'm stuck with 48 of them, guess what? it ain't happening. I can't afford to order 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably not a good idea by bad idea. So it's unfortunate. I mean, they put themselves on the map, okay, but selling an invisible comic and getting some buzz off of it does not mean you can come in and start being arrogant to your bread and butter business, which is the LCSs, the retailers, and say, well, I'm forcing you to take this if you want this. Okay, well, you got some buzz because of your invisible comic, but I'm not doing that, My next question is, are you throwing in the graded invisible comic as an incentive if I order 100? The incentive invisible cover? So I think that's short-sighted, and I get it from a publisher standpoint. Everybody would like to lock those orders down, but you cut your nose to spite your face, because even if somebody's willing to do it after 4 issues and it doesn't do well, they're never hitting that well again.
Yeah.
They're stuck with all these books, and they're like, well, gee, dollar box now. Okay, try to get through that and recoup whatever I can, but I'm never ordering from you guys again.
Yeah, it's weird because, so like, I think like with the marketing strategy they did, the limited ability to find their books, it was building up a hype, right? And that they were set up perfectly to then be like, all right, now all the restrictions are done. Here we go. We're launching now. Now we got everybody knowing who we are, and now here's our books. Hope you like them, because I've heard from the people that read those books that they're really, really good, but you can't find them. You can't read it. I don't see ever how it's a good comic book strategy to not sell your comic, right?
Yes.
But it leads me to believe that maybe all they care about is the generation of IP. Like maybe they got other plans, like their business model maybe is they're developing these things, they're building up their hype, they're able to sell their empty CGC cases, for whatever they want, and they're developing some IP maybe to try to sell into like Netflix or a movie or Amazon or something, maybe. Who knows?
Well, I mean, maybe I really can't see it. I think it is, and this is the danger of things, like comic IPs, is that I think that they're trying to create scarcity where scarcity, an artificial manufacturing of scarcity, and that usually is a very dangerous kind of position to put yourself in as a publisher, because you're trying to create demand, and you're trying to do that using scarcity as a technique. But scarcity only happens when, and I think that's kind of backwards, demand creates scarcity. Okay. But right now you're trying to create scarcity to create demand, and that's a very dangerous position to be in. And as you say, if the comics that they're putting out actually have good content, well, why wouldn't you want that in the hands of your readers? That's how you create true demand, is that, wow, did you read the last issue of, did you read that issue? Oh my gosh, it was fantastic. I can't wait until the next issue comes out.
Yeah.
And that will create the popularity for your IP. This almost feels like a shortcut. And unfortunately, I think many times this kind of shortcut method ends badly, more times than it ends well. You might get lucky here and there, but right now you don't have an IP. I know the name. I know you put out an invisible graded comic. Okay. But other than that, I don't know anything about you,
Yeah.
And it's an interesting story, just like Canned Air, but who manufactured Canned Air? Who was the first company to manufacture Canned Air? We don't know. Who's the first company that manufactured Pet Rocks? Don't know that either. That they've been buried in the dustbin of history, but we remember the Pet Rock itself, and we'll probably remember the invisible comic. Okay. But that's the danger, I think,
It's just how also can you say it's an invisible comic? Like, we know that that's not true. We know it's just nothing. Like, I don't, it's just, what's the legality of that, Rex? I have no, like somebody's like, we can get away with this if we word it this way. I don't know.
Probably an attorney looked at all that stuff and said, all right, well, you can't theoretically get yourself in trouble if you word it in this way. I don't know how they worded it. Obviously the media and the buzz has been invisible comic. And if you read the Bleeding Cool article, it was interesting because they kind of wrote it tongue in cheek. Well, of course you want to get your invisible comic graded. This way you won't lose it because it's invisible. So I found. Yeah, I know. I found the article quite amusing because it was kind of tongue in cheek in that sense. But it was a great media hype, buzz, and putting yourself out there. But the problem is that's a two-step process, and you got to follow that up. And the only way to follow that up is actually get those issues into the hands of the readers who will appreciate it. And then the buzz sort of changes. Hey, you know, I know that these guys are doing this stupid invisible comic, but have you read it? You know, it's really good. And that's how you take advantage of that hype and that buzz that they created to step to that next level. I think, you know, further restrictions are, you know, this buzz doesn't last long. You know, it's like anything else. It's like a campfire, man. And, you know, once the wood's gone, it's done, you know, and you don't want to start raining because it gets a lot tougher to relight that fire.
Yeah, I know that they're opening up their doors again to more retailers. I don't know how heavy the restrictions are. I haven't necessarily looked into all of that yet, but hopefully they ease that up, because at first it did create a demand. I had a lot of people coming into the shop asking, "Hey, do you have this book?" And I was like, "Oh no, that's a bad idea, comic. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to stock those." And the customers, they don't know or care about all that stuff behind the scenes. They just know that, well, this shop disappointed me. They don't have my book. So I think they were counting on that early buzz and demand to kind of coerce these shops into doing it so they don't disappoint their customers. But we were honest with our customers. I was like, how would you feel if I told you, okay, buy issue 1 of this, but when you do it, you also got to pay me for issue 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And they were like, well, that would be terrible. I would not want to do that. And I'm like, that's what they're telling us to do. So that's why we're not. And so a lot of them just started understanding what was going on. And then it's obnoxious when you hear buzz on a book and you want to read it and you get online and it's like $80, you know, and things like that. And that was another thing. If you sat on a book, let's say you did jump in, you ordered plenty of Bad Idea books, you had a bunch left over at certain points, but they were starting to jump up in market value, you weren't allowed as a retailer to sell it for higher than cover price. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, if it's 6 months later and that book is worth, say, $50, $100, you're telling me I can't sell it for what its market value is? That's ridiculous.
I agree. The problem is that especially in this industry, you know, you could say, you know, in other industries, like, all right, well, there's a supply chain issue. We can't get these semiconductor chips. We can't get this. We can't get that. You know, so this is how many we can build, and that creates scarcity. All right, and people understand that. Okay, well, you know, new cars are really expensive because there's a shortage of the semiconductor chips, right? So and whatever else. In this industry, the problem is this can turn on you real quick. You know, good PR and buzz can turn into bad PR because, you know, you have retailers like yourself and others, I'm sure, you know, saying, hey, you're trying to hold me hostage here, you know, forcing me to buy multiple issues, you know, when I don't want to commit to that. And eventually somebody will ask the question, well, why would you do that? Okay. You can't say, well, you know, there's a shortage on story ideas. No, there isn't. You already have the story. You just need to go to print with it. Okay. Well, there's a shortage on paper. Well, it doesn't seem like Marvel, DC, Dynamite, Image, IDW. It doesn't seem like they have that same problem. Why don't you give one of them a call and see where they're getting their stuff printed?
Yeah, right.
You know, so before long, it becomes obvious, not only to the LCS, it's obvious to all the retailers out there. But eventually the fans will, you know, places like Bleeding Cool and other places, you know, will start writing about it. Like, yeah, they're trying to create this scarcity. They're beating up the LCSs, you know, to try to increase their sales, you know, and nobody's going to look kindly on that. And before too long, you know, that ship's going to sink.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sad because I hear that they pump out really good content, but it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing, you know. And you were talking about controversial topics in comics, you know, in the last week or so. Did you hear about the? So this is all over the place, but the banning of Art Spiegelman's Maus in like a school district in Tennessee or something like that, and it's got everybody.
I had not heard that. I had not heard that.
So there's I think it was like a middle school or something. I don't know all the exact details in this, but they basically banned it from being taught. They banned it in the library or something like that. And I did a little bit of digging into certain aspects, and Maus is one of those comics that winds up at schools and frequently kind of gets put on these kind of like banned lists. Mm-hmm. And there's the obvious response where you're like, well, are they trying to stop teaching the Holocaust? Are they trying to, you know, what are they trying to do? Is there, what's the motivating factor? There is a piece of me that wonders, because a lot of people, when it comes to comics, a lot of like, you know, just, you know, the general public out there, like say like a school librarian or a middle school English teacher or something, they may look, now you should know, but you may look at something like Mouse and be like, oh, it's animals, right? So it's like Usagi Yojimbo or something, right? It's Ninja Turtles, it's animals, so it could be for kids. And Mouse is not necessarily for kids, right? Because it's a pretty heavy book about a real subject. And so the only thing I can think of is maybe there's that, like somebody got a hold of it and they're like, oh, this is a little bit too heavy for like my 12-year-old to read right now or something like that. But I don't know. It still seems, I don't like banning books, period. I don't like that idea, right? Plus, nothing on the cover of Mouse lets you know that this is an all ages, kid-friendly book or anything like that. So I don't know. And maybe it's oversensitivity to the Nazi symbolism in it too. Like, who knows?
I think what we're seeing now is not just Mouse, but just overall, and obvious there is a battle line drawn between the school districts, the educational system, and the parents, and a lot of that is being stoked by politics of the day, and it goes beyond, obviously, the banning of certain books and literature has been going on since I was a kid, certainly, at schools and school libraries, whatever. But I think it's in high gear now. I mean, you look at the kind of things that are happening at school board meetings and stuff, over the pandemic and the masking, and I think that all just kind of snowballs into one topic. And then, people are looking for, other ways to, parents are now very concerned, if they're doing this, then what are they doing, whatever. And, the banning of books is a very interesting topic, because the banning of books, music, of anything is always the beginning of any kind of dictatorship. And I would use the People's Republic of China is a perfect example. They have a complete clampdown on information, and it's gotten continually worse. And the banning of certain books then leads to banning of certain websites, then controlling internet access, and then all of a sudden it just leads one into the other. Because if you can control the social dialogue in any country, then that is one way to control society.
Yes.
And I think our country right now is in a very confused state. We're doing things that are there that can be construed that way, but then, if it's something we disagree with, whatever our political leanings are, then, and both sides do this. So then all of a sudden, we scream about our freedoms being infringed upon, but then there may be another topic where we want to infringe on somebody's freedoms. And in that, I thought our country was more mature than that, but I guess it's not. But I think that Eazy-E from NWA always had it best. Okay, when they were burning the CDs and stuff, right? And everybody was upset about it. And Eazy-E looked at it and he goes, yeah, guess what? They paid for all that. Burn away. Do whatever you want with it. Okay, just makes my royalty check at the end of the month bigger. Yeah. And I guess that's kind of the way you have to look at it. If you don't like something, don't buy it. Okay. All right. If you're afraid your child's going to stumble upon something in a library or out with friends or whatever, or in this day and age, social media, then that's more of a point of your own relationship with your child as opposed to a point of society. Yeah. That's the way that I see it. But I see a great danger in the banning or restriction of information. No matter how distasteful somebody's thoughts may be, they should have a right to express it. And once you start to control that, then that's a real slippery slope, man. Because then one person, when you get a person that you want to restrict their freedom of speech or expression, and we can all agree that this person, what he's spewing is toxic and it's not right. But then that's a small step from somebody else whom you may agree with, but other people don't, and say, well, that needs to be restricted as well, and that becomes a very slippery slope. And you watch how China has continually done this year after year after year. It went from the great firewall of China to now you want to talk about cancel culture, okay? Over there, I mean, they are canceling celebrities, they are canceling movie stars, they're canceling whomever they want. And that's the kind of control that they've reached. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you and I are broadcasting in China right now, dude, okay, I mean, there'd be authorities knocking down our door right this second for us talking about this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And we would be erased from the internet. And that's a real danger. That is a danger to society as a whole. And it's scary. It's a real scary concept.
Yeah.
So, I think the implications are much larger than that, banning the mouse from school libraries and stuff. The implications are really deep.
Yeah. We, down here in Alabama, I know we've had this happen several times with books like To Kill a Mockingbird and things. And you can't help but be like, the motivation on this has got to be like some kind of form of racism or something, right? Like what, why not? Like, I remember watching that movie in school and being like, and learning about that, we, through books, through even fictions and through movies, we can experience another person's journey. We can experience what it's like on the other side of life for somebody, and like banning any form of books or entertainment or information, like you were saying, I think that's a slippery slope. It's a very dangerous place to be. And we have examples in history. We have examples in the current world situation about what this kind of stuff leads to. Maus, to me, is one of the most iconic and important, I should say, more so than iconic, important comic books that's ever been done. Art Spiegelman telling the story of his father, who was a Holocaust survivor. It's filled with tragedy, but it's also filled with humanity. That book is freaking amazing, and it's definitely something that should be accessible to people, I think, even at the middle age read.
Well, you've touched on the most significant thing, and I think examples from 1984 or Fahrenheit 451 are really, really good, books that kind of cover this very dangerous slippery slope. Any piece of literature, you may object to the language or the references, or whatever, but any book, and fiction especially, I find, more so than a textbook or nonfiction, whatever, is that journey that you talk about. I agree. It's written with what is happening at that time, the reflection of what's going on at that time. And if there's a term that somebody finds offensive at that time, point in time in history, it was maybe still offensive, but a commonly used or accepted, kind of term. And it paints a picture of what life was like at that time. And when you start to clamp down on it, then that's forgotten. And then what opens up is the ability to make those same mistakes again. Yeah. And that's the real danger. And then once you have a government in power of what is okay and what is not, then all of a sudden they can dictate what people think, what people see. And 1984, I think Orwell's 1984 was a perfect example of that. The messaging was so conflicting that we were at war with them, but now they're our buddies, but we're at war with somebody else, and people logically think, well, that can't be right. So what do? You erase that too. How far does it go? And that becomes a real danger there. I think Fahrenheit 451 was a perfect example of what happens when you start. Where do you stop? You're burning books, you're burning everything. Okay, yeah. At what point do you stop? Now, I think that had a slightly better ending in the way that people became walking, talking books. Okay, but even that, if you think about it realistically, can lead to, well, if it's not paper and hardcover and bound books that we're burning, then if they're walking, talking books, at what point do you start burning them as well? Yeah. There's so many things that are really dangerous. And if you look around the world, it really hasn't gotten much better. If anything, it's probably gotten worse, which is a very scary concept. I grew up during the Cold War. Sometimes I think at least everybody knew where they stood back then. Now it's one big hot mess.
Yeah, right. Banned books and invisible comics. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Be entered to win a contest. We'll announce that winner on Monday, because Monday we got the show over at The Experience, and we ban no books over there, and we sell no invisible comics. Isn't that right, Rex?
That is correct. No invisible comics available this coming week. Unless John takes one, then it becomes invisible.
There you go. What can people look forward to on the show Monday night, man?
Got a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, we have, as always, CGC graded comics, slab comics, not invisible. Usually it'll be at least a 9.6, but I would say the vast majority of the ones that we bring to the show are going to be 9.8. Guaranteed. The upside is obviously any slab graded books you see here. You know the grade. You're going to get it right away. There's no submission. There's no wait time. None of that. As always, we have some great signed books from some absolutely phenomenal creators. I'm pretty sure we have an Alex Ross signed book on, that'll be on Monday. We do, as always, the sketch cover art by Ken Hazer and other creators. Which I'm a huge Ken Hazer fan. You know that from all the times that we talk. We'll always have that available. And my favorite one to introduce people to Dynamite and a kind of a thank you to our fans is, of course, the 10-pack Dynamite set. So it's 10 random Dynamite titles, cover price of $3.99 or higher. So actually a retail of $40 or higher, and we sell them all day long for $5, 50 cents a copy, just to give you something new to read. If you have a comic book fan in your life, you want to get a gift, this is an affordable way to do it. And if you're just looking for new titles to read, and also a way for us to introduce Dynamite to new readers out there if you haven't picked up a copy. Obviously always some great stuff coming out from our creators and editorial staff. So, we'll be here Mondays on The Experience, 6 to 8. Robbie always joins us on Mondays. Wednesdays, also from 6 to 8. All these times are Eastern on The Experience. And we have Alec from AR Comics who joins us. And then Nick does his original art show on Fridays. So don't miss that. That's on tonight from 7 to 8. He may be shooting, I'm not sure, he hasn't made a decision, but he may be shooting from his home because of the impending snowmageddon that's coming. He doesn't want to get trapped in the office, so he may do that one remotely. But if you are an original art collector, if you're an original art fan, there's always some great pieces on there.
Yes, and it's always a fun, entertaining show. Nick knows so much about the history of this industry, and it's always cool to hear him talk about it. Yeah,
and especially original art because he's been a collector for as long as I've known him. So, he's not just it's like that old Hair Club for Men commercial. I'm not just a CEO. I'm a member too.
Yes, there you go. Well, Rex, thank you so much. This has probably been one of the deepest conversations we've ever had here on our Rex and Robbie show. Well, we appreciate it. Well, crap, we should draw the winner of the contest, huh?
Oh my gosh, you know what? This is coming out next week, and these are the Dynamite books that are coming out next week, and I'm going to pick one, and this is going to become our prize. Let me just take a look and see which you see. All right, so we have Hell Sonia, and let's see. Ooh, this is cover. All right. Well, anyway, somebody's going to get a copy of Hell Sonia. This is our virgin cover. I want to say, hold on. It is, Jimmy Broxton. This is an FOC incentive cover. Oh, so nice. The winner will get a free copy of this. And who's the winner? Spin that wheel.
Spinning the ridiculous wheel of revolution and not banning books. Ronald Shepard. There you go.
All right. So Ron's getting a free FOC copy. Very good. We will let Ron know about that. As always, please make sure you hit the thumbs up for Robbie. Subscribe if you haven't already. And check out especially his movie reviews.
Yes.
Classic,
Small Soldiers this week, man.
Okay. You need to work in Cool Runnings, bub.
Yeah, we're working on it. All right. Thank you, Rex, for being here, as always. And thank you out there for listening and watching. And comment below, and then join us Monday night, and you may hear your name drawn for another cool prize. You never know. Dynamite, the gift that keeps on giving. Anyway, thank you guys so much. We're out. Station.
Take care.